The commemoration of the National Day of Remembrance for the victims of genocide in Volhynia began with a Holy Mass at the Field Cathedral of the Polish Army in Warsaw. Then the commemoration moved to the Volhynia Square in front of the Genocide Victims Monument. In Volhynia alone, between 40 and 60,000 were murdered and killed, which we emphasize with great pain, by our neighbors. The president emphasized that the actions aimed at restoring the memory of the victims of the genocide from 79 years ago result only from the will to reach the truth and honor the victims who have not been properly buried to this day. It wasn't, and it's not about revenge. It was not and is not about any kind of retaliation. There is no better proof of this than the time we have now. Although so difficult, at the same time, what is happening today between Poles and Ukrainians is the best proof of this. On July 11, 1943, Ukrainian nationalists attacked Poles in almost 100 localities of the Volhynia region in the eastern borderlands, occupied by the German Third Reich. This day went down in history as Bloody Sunday. Poles were murdered everywhere, also in churches during holy masses. Ukraine sees that the heir of the Ukrainian nationalists and the Ukrainian insurgent army is the Russian Mir. Today it is Putin, the Kremlin, and Moscow who are behaving in a genocidal manner, more and more reminiscent of the worst crimes of genocide known from world history. This is a historic commemoration because it was the first time that the Ukrainian ambassador laid a wreath at the monument to the victims of genocide. He did so on behalf of President Volodymyr Zelensky. The victims cry out for memory. This is what the families of the victims say. And if the crime of genocide is commemorated also by representatives of the Ukrainian nation, it is also a very important and necessary signal. The desire to purify the Ukrainian lands of the non-Ukrainian element was included in the program of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, established in 1929, which set itself the goal of creating an independent Ukrainian state with a homogeneous nationality. The leader of one of its factions, OUNB, was Stefan Bandera. Stefan Bandera is a bit of an extramural leader, kind of like no one will say that Hitler personally murdered someone. He didn't even shoot a dog. Many other nationalist leaders were also involved in the organization of the Volhynia massacre. Unfortunately, monuments are erected for them in Ukraine to this day. The precise number of victims is impossible to establish. The Polish population was killed by bullets, axes, pitchforks, and knives. Based on the testimonies, a list of 362 ways to kill Lach has been compiled. This is what the Ukrainians called the Poles. No one was spared: old people, babies, and pregnant women. Genocide has an unambiguous definition, and whether they will be carried out in the east, in the west, north, south, it is genocide. According to historians, in the years 1943 to 1945, in Volhynia and in eastern Lesser Poland, Ukrainian nationalists murdered 80 to 120,000 Polish people.